This is the Stephan Hogan Podcast.
You listened to a bunch of songs today because it's Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And you were just telling me that that's what you do on Mondays.
Yes.
And you try to get through all of them. Mm-hmm. But you guys have like 25 writers or something?
Yes.
Did I get that number right?
You did. You got it right, 25.
So how many songs are you listening to on a Monday?
It matters. I think during the peak, we could be close to 40 or 50. But sometimes, like in the summer, a lot of our writers take time off. We'll be closer to 10 to 15. So.
Okay. That's not too crazy then. I was thinking that 50 number is getting up there. That's some ear fatigue.
Yeah. I mean, we've had weeks where we've gotten close to 70 in 1 week. It just matters what cycle our writers are in.
So here's I have so many questions to ask that I think the younger me would have been super curious about.
Yeah.
In terms of A&R and publishing companies and stuff like that. And I've had a few publishers on, but like I was telling you, no A&R.
Yeah.
And first off, before we kind of go the A&R route, I want to, because the song piece is really paramount to what you do at a publishing company. It's Smack. And when you listen to songs, what are you looking for? Because I think that's a question that every songwriter has.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm looking for a moment in the song that's going to make it stand out from all the other thousands of songs that are being written that day. And I'm a lyric guy. I think there's other people at our company that are much better at melody than I am, but I'm a lyric guy, and I just want a line. Like, I'm one line away in a song from being obsessed with it. So,
okay, is the line usually the hook, or could it be anywhere?
No, it could be anywhere. It's a line that can make me feel uncomfortable, or can make me feel something, or make me think about something differently. Or a line that says something differently. I think there's a Florida Georgia Line song that says, I hope you wear the jeans with the tear that your mama never fixed. Instead of, I hope you wear the cut up jeans or the cut off jeans or whatever. It's like there's moments where I'm like, oh, somebody wrote that song. Or even like in Morgan Wallen, make you grip the sheets with your fingertips. Like, that's almost uncomfortable. But it makes you you visualize everything, you see it. That's what I like, lines that you can visualize, that you can see, that just make it stand out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on the artist side, so that's the songwriting side. What about on the artist side? What are you looking for when it comes to someone that is just coming in? Maybe they've been in the business, maybe they haven't been, maybe they're young, maybe they're a little older. What is that thing that you're looking for as the senior VP of A&R?
Yeah.
When it comes to developing or signing talent?
Yeah, on the artist side and the songwriter side, it's both work ethic. But I think the artist side of things, you have to really, really, really want to be an artist, because being an artist is the hardest job in our industry. I mean, you're working 320 days a year. You don't get to see your family that much. I mean, if you're at the Jordan Davis level or Morgan Wallen level, I mean, you're just gone all the time. And you have to do a bunch of interviews. You have to talk to a bunch of people you don't know all the time. Shake hands, kiss babies kind of thing. So, and not only that, you have to make music on top of all that. So you have to really want it. And we have artists that, they're going to write 2 or 3 times a week, then go out on the road that weekend and play a bunch of shows, a bunch of radio shows. Some of them it's for free. Some of them they're going to make some money. And then they're going to come back on Sunday, hopefully get some sleep, and then come back Monday and have to do that whole thing over again. I mean, they're working 6-7 days a week. I mean, our duo Tiger Lily Gold, I think they did a run last year of 45 days straight of working. So to be an artist, you have to really, really want it. It's a work ethic. It's a work ethic thing for me.
Is being an artist, can it pay the least, or could it pay the most? So the gamble's the risk. Like
financially?
Yeah, the risk is highest on the artist side, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to make money on the artist side, especially as an independent artist. You can go and put money out on Spotify and start collecting royalties. You can go play shows and start doing that. The risk is lower. There's a lower risk on the songwriter side, but there's not as much of a reward, obviously. But like I said, like an artist, it shouldn't even be like a monetary thing. Like, you just have to be an artist. And that's what I always look for in artists. Like, I have to be, I'm going to go play shows whether or not you're paying me or not, whether or not you're booking me on co-writes or not. I'm going to go play shows. I'm going to write songs, whether or not you're a part of it. So,
just in your blood.
just in your blood. I have to do it.
You have to. Just like songwriters that you're probably looking for have to write songs.
Yes. Yeah. It's the exact same thing. You have to want to do the job and do it at a high level, because there are thousands upon thousands of people that want your gig that are always, right at your heels.
So how did you want to get into A&R? How did you want to do your job specifically?
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. Because I know that you've been at SMACK for almost a decade.
Yeah.
And you were creative director before that, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Before your promotion to your current position?
Well, I'm senior vice president now. I was vice president before, and then creative director before that. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I've been
So
promoted a few times at SMACK.
You're just a big dog now, basically.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, what made you want to do it?
I grew up in a really small town of 1,200 people, and I had no idea what the music business was. So right out of high school, I joined the Army and was going to look at that as a career path until I had some friends back home that were moving to Nashville and kind of pursuing the music business in different ways. And right before I was deployed overseas, I visited Nashville and I got to visit Belmont University, and I got to learn about, Brad Paisley went to Belmont and Trisha Yearwood and Josh Turner. And I was like, oh, so you can major in the music business and try to I didn't even know that was a thing, because music had always been one of my favorite things growing up. And I could tell you who wrote these songs, these George Strait songs or these Mark Chestnut songs. I could tell you who wrote and produced them. But I didn't know that there was
were you reading liner notes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could tell you about Foo Fighters, Metallica, whatever it was. I was obsessed with it. And I just didn't know that it was realistic for somebody in a small town to work in the entertainment industry or the music business in general, until I had friends move to Nashville and kind of show me the path that it existed. And when I was overseas, I actually ordered a book on Amazon. It was 100 Careers in the Music Business. And I read it and I circled a few of them, and I thought publishing was the one I wanted to pursue the most. And so when I moved to Nashville to go to Belmont, I pursued 3 internships, and I had in my mind I wanted to do management, label, and publishing. And so I got to do all 3 of those, and I definitely I picked publishing. Publishing was the one. I knew all along that was what I wanted to do. So
it's so interesting to me, publishing, because I feel like the opinion of one publisher versus another might be different. They might differ.
Yeah.
How much of it is just betting on your gut?
That's all of it. Because we all have different tastes. And that's really important. When we're creating our creative staff at SMACK, we keep that in mind, because I'm not good at pop music. Really, I'm not good at anything other than country. And so I try to hire people that are better at that. I'm not great at working with artists for the most part. So I try to hire people that are better at working with artists. I love working with the 5-day-a-week lunch pail songwriters. That's my passion in this business. But you got to kind of have the wherewithal to know what you're good at, what you're bad at. And thankfully at SMACK, we're pretty good at no ego, We can all kind of lift each other up when somebody has a weakness. So.
Yeah. One of my last interviews was Johnny Clausen.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the culture and that he had 7 offers.
Yeah.
But he went with you guys. And one of the things that he loved about it was the fact that the vibe there was really cool. And he also felt like at an independent publishing company, there was more room for him to grow than at one of the majors. And can you explain what the difference is between an independent publishing company and a major?
Yeah, the majors would be like Warner Brothers, Sony, Universal. They're owned by big conglomerates. And they'll have, anywhere from 100 to 300, 400 songwriters published out of that one office, specifically here in Nashville at any time. And they have big creative staffs, but you're one of many. So, one creative person is going to have 20, 30, 40 writers on their roster. So you just kind of have to rise above everybody else to try to get time with your creative person. And at an independent publishing company, it's just, there's each one of us has 7 or 8 writers on our roster versus 20 or 30. So you just get more time with your people more communication. Communication's just better at an independent publishing company.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I've just gathered through conversations and meeting different people is the energy at the independence feels a lot more laid back, or maybe it's family oriented.
Yeah,
like
it's more family
community,
oriented. Yeah,
more community, less corporate vibes, more holistic. I don't know what you.
I will say that the majors in Nashville do a very good job of trying to make it feel more like laid back, easygoing kind of atmosphere for the writers. Because in Nashville, like our writers they're much more of like an artistic, creative. Like they come in 5 days a week to try to write songs, and you want it to be a laid back vibe everywhere you go. You don't want it to be very stale. So yeah, I think our majors do a pretty good job of that too. But you're just one of so many that it's just hard to crack through sometimes. Yeah. So you have to really be a self-starter to succeed at a major publisher, I think.
Did you decide before going to SMACK, like, hey, I want to be with what is the word? I just said it.
Independent publisher?
Yeah, independent publisher.
No, I just wanted a job in publishing, and the first job I got was Seagale Music, which is an independent publishing company owned by Chris Dubois and Brad Paisley. And the second job I had was Hori Pro Entertainment Group, which was an independent publishing company owned out of Japan that had Dean Dillon and Phil O'Donnell and Ryan Beaver and writers like that. And then SMACK. So I've just naturally just fit into the independent world. And I don't know if that's my personality or just who the town believes I am. But yeah, I've got 17 years, I think, into independent publishing now.
Oh, wow. Maybe it's your personality.
It might be.
Because you're just laid back.
Yeah.
There's a stoicism to you.
Yeah.
But I also haven't hung out with you that much, so I'm sure there's a wild side too.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the history of A&R a little bit, because you circled it when you were overseas. By the way, thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
My dad was in the Marine Corps, and he was in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I got mad respect for people that serve.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, man. So you were overseas, you circled publishing is one of them. Mm-hmm. Now, that was the job, but the A&R position within publishing is a little different.
Yeah.
And I kind of alluded to it, and I guess in my first questions about finding talent, blah, 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 blah. But I think that it's always been this ambiguous, like, artist and repertoire or whatever it stands for. Yeah. Like, I don't even know what that means, you know, and no one does.
Yeah.
And so it's like this ambiguous job, and where we're like, you know, seeing people's Instagrams now, and it's like A&R at Warner, A&R at wherever, or whatever your title is. And it's interesting because I think we're all interested, if you peel back the curtain, to find out, like, what does that even mean in 2025?
Yeah.
Because back in the day, it was, if you want to explain, but to my knowledge, really going out and finding in the clubs and through various avenues talent, developing that talent, and then hopefully developing it into something successful. What is it now?
It's going to be different in LA than it is Nashville and wherever, but the Nashville A&R process is that, I mean, there are people that actually go out and try to find stuff. A lot of it happens online now, obviously through TikTok and Instagram and even the Spotify playlists and stuff. You have A&R people that are pursuing acts that way. And then it is just going out and watching them play shows. That's a big part of the major label A&R process, I think, in everywhere, period. And in Nashville, I feel like there's much more of a runway for artist development. Like, we're going to sign at, you know, Big Loud, and we're going to develop there over the course of a certain amount of time. I think in LA, it's more of a acquisition thing. So A&R has traditionally been like, we're going to try to sign as many artists as possible and hope that some of them pop. That doesn't mean that everybody's like that, but obviously I think that the A&R process over there is just a little bit different.
In LA?
In LA, they're more of an acquisition. There are, like, in my experiences of working with A&R departments in LA, they are very hands-on and helping create the record and put out records for artists that are already kind of working and putting stuff out. But and then the signing and development part of it is Nashville's, the A&R people are much more into signing and developing, and specifically in publishing. If you look at, Warner Brothers in Nashville is going to sign and develop a writer and work with them directly versus Warner Brothers in LA. Those writers are probably, they're going to sign to the publishing company through somebody, but they're also going to have a writer manager do the A&R process in terms of setting up co-writes and pitching their songs and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different. But it's the A&R thing really hasn't changed that much, other than like in publishing, we set up rights, which versus 15, 20 years ago, publishers weren't really setting up rights. They were mostly just focused on placing songs, pitching songs, signing songwriters. And that really changed with my generation, I guess. We started doing the Google calendars and Apple calendars and booking rights for folks.
So within publishing, we have publishing A&R, and then you have label A&R.
Yes.
They're both the same title.
Yes.
What's the difference there?
One signing artists and one signing songwriters.
Are you signing songwriters that could be artists?
Yeah.
Are you thinking more now than ever in terms of signing artists, writers?
SMACK has traditionally signed a lot of artist writers or worked with a lot of artist writers.
And why would you do that?
I think when we sign, I don't think we really view, like when I signed McCoy Moore, I'm not solely focused on him as an artist. I only signed him as a songwriter. And if the artist thing happens, that's awesome. And I think, I don't want to speak for Robin and Shane when they signed like Matt Ramsey and Trevor Rosen from Old Dominion, but it's a very similar thing. It's like, we're signing you as songwriters because we believe in you as songwriters. And if Old Dominion happens, if the artist thing happens, that is fantastic. And we'll invest in that and we'll put time into that. And, like Matt and Trevor both had a lot of cuts, outside cuts before Old Dominion took off. And McCoy has had a lot of outside cuts before he got his record deal at Sony and things like that. So, I don't think we've ever really signed an artist just because they were an artist. We always sign them because they're songwriters first. I always say you want to write your way to it. So we're going to write our way into being an artist. So that's our process of doing it.
Yeah.
Other companies are going to do it much differently. If a kid pops off on TikTok and consumption goes through the roof, they have to go sign that kid. Like they don't really have an option, because if somebody else signs him and he becomes the next big thing, then it doesn't really look good on them, if that makes sense.
So how's social media playing into all this? Because it seems like from the conversations I have, a lot of signings happen because of virality.
Mm-hmm.
So there's virality and there's also development for like long-term talent. So not that maybe virality is super talented, but maybe virality is just virality. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, let's sign that person. They have that one song and let's ride that wave, versus a career that is going to last and like be built. Does that make any sense? Yeah. I'm interested in where eyes are at on the virality thing versus the building something, or are you hoping to just build off of virality?
I know most labels are focused on virality. That is a primary focus of most record labels.
What do you think about that?
It's the easiest and cheapest way to market a product, so I get it. But at the same time, most of the people that sell tickets didn't have a viral moment. They were developing as an artist first and then ended up having viral moments and coinciding with their success as an artist. But it's still, and it's kind of the LA way of A&Ring things, is when something pops, you want to collect as many as you can and then hope that some of it works, right? So that's the same process that all A&Rs are trying to, and I think a lot of them struggle with it too, is like, oh, I have to go meet with this person. They've played. There was a kid here years ago that had only played a few shows ever in his life and only written a few songs. One of them popped on TikTok. He got a publishing deal and a record deal and a big producer, and all these things happened. And it didn't end up working because he wasn't fully developed as a songwriter or an artist yet. It was going to take time, as they all do. So you can have your viral moment, But then it's all the other stuff behind it. Like, can you play 120 shows a year? Can you go write 60 songs a year as well as playing those shows so you can consistently put out new material? That's really hard to do. And some people do it well. Some people struggle. But I think the labels probably view it as, we don't know which one's going to work. We don't know which one's going to become the next Morgan Wallen or Sabrina Carpenter, so we might as well just sign 10 of them and hope for the best.
Do you have any empathy on the artist side or the writer side? Because when you say that, it just sounds so dang harsh. You know, like, let's sign 10. Let's just sign you, see what happens.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, we'll own all your stuff. But sucks for you, but we got 9 others.
Yeah.
And the one that breaks is going to pay for all the ones that we signed that didn't work.
It is harsh. I mean, but that's kind of always been the reality of A&R to an extent. But now it's just a little bit more out in the open in the way that they're doing things. And I'm not saying that like the labels don't do any work, obviously, but I'm like, they sign them and they put a lot of effort and money and time into them, but they just have a super short leash now. And they're like, oh, this one song went viral, these other 10 didn't, so I think we're going to cut bait.
Yeah.
And just hope that one of these others pops.
Yeah.
So, and in Nashville, like, they give artists much longer of a leash than some other places. So
I had a meeting with someone they had a major, and they said, I'm not interested in songwriters that write a hit. I'm interested in someone that can write hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. Like, we're not in the business of like,
yeah, we are.
Yeah. But I was curious because it was like, well, yeah, that sounds really, really great and easy, but just to get a single or your first number one can take years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
And there's only so many years that a writer can write before a publishing company says, hey, we can't pay you any more money.
For sure.
So can you talk a little about like maybe your view on that? Because you just strike me as the kind of person that's like, yeah, I would love for you to have hits, but also if you get cuts, like, we can keep things going, kind of a thing. I'm curious.
Well, Smack in general we're just a development company for the most part. Now we've signed writers that have had hits and then they come to Smack, obviously, and we have success with that. But for the most part, Smack is built on artist or writer development. So we'll sign somebody to their first or second pub deal and develop them to their first hit. I think we've done it like 10 to 15 times. Don't quote me on the exact number, but we've done it a lot, it's pretty rare for a company to do. And I'm not trying to get my young developing writers to just start writing for like A-list cuts immediately. I want them to find their people and develop as songwriters and to be the next thing, not chase what's happening now. So I think that's part of what makes Smack special, and probably what like Johnny talks about the culture there is we just allow them to grow into who they're supposed to become instead of chase whatever else is going on in town. And of course, I want all my writers to write 10 number ones every year. Like, that'd be great. But the reality is I want them to have a long career in this business, whether it's with Smack or not with Smack. And I want them to be successful no matter what. And they're much better off if we slowly develop them into being great songwriters instead of just chasing whatever moment's going on. So, and if they write, like if they sign at a big publishing company and if they're writing with A-list writers every day, they're not developing because the A-list writers are going to write most of the song and dominate them, and they're just going to say yes. So I'd rather them write with their peers and their friends because it's how they're going to develop. It's how they're going to learn how to write songs.
That's an interesting point of view. Writing with hit songwriters, you're always going to be like, oh, yeah.
You're just going to say yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. Until you get to like, there's been a lot of, like Johnny Clausen is a good example of somebody who has now kind of graduated into that next class of songwriter. And now when he gets into the room with those A-list songwriters, they're going to listen to him a little bit more now because like, oh, it's the guy that wrote Work for the Wind or Texas, or he has all these cuts on Ashley Cook, whatever. Like, they're going to actually pay attention to him now as like, oh, so now those songs can become more of Johnny's.
Yeah. How long has the development process with Johnny been?
3 years, maybe. It was pretty quick, honestly, because it was his first pub deal. So,
yeah.
and most of the time, it's 5-6 year process. So when they get to their first hit, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
5 or 6 year process.
How have draws changed, or how have you seen it change for songwriters? And what's your opinion on draws?
Yeah,
in terms of where the numbers are?
I mean, not much has changed really since I've started. I think there were still some writers getting really, really high draws when I first started, like 6-figure draws. Some of like the A-list songwriters back when I first started. But for the most part, we've changed kind of into this catalog purchasing business. So you want your draw to be as low as possible so you can recoup and sell. So you don't want to have 3 or 4 hits and still be unrecouped at your publishing company. You want to have the ability to sell your catalog, and the best way to do that is to own as much of it as possible. So,
let's
be
pause
recouped.
there.
Yeah.
All right. So for my wife and everybody that doesn't know what recoup means necessarily, not that you don't, babe, but like sometimes we use these terminologies and things that can just like go. Whew.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a sec. So can we break that down into what it just looks like? Fundamentally, so you have a writer, they're signed.
Yeah.
You're saying, let's try to not pay them a bunch of money because that way they can own more of their song.
Well, they can recoup faster. So
is it about recoupment or ownership or both?
It can be both. So it matters what, there's 1,000 different deal structures in town, but the main point is like if you're a hit songwriter, you want no draw to little draw because your goal is to sell your next catalog, right? A lot of them will build like a draw into their catalog sale. So if you get paid $200,000, you have to pay that back to your publishing company through the royalties on those songs, and you want that to be paid back so you can then move that ownership of that copyright to whoever wants to purchase it. Now, if like there are people that don't have hits or young developing songwriters that need, $30,000 to $50,000 a year just to feed themselves. But you still want to, one of our older writers, Mark Beeson, always says you take as little as you possibly can because you want to give yourself the flexibility going forward to recoup. And a lot of deals, if you recoup, that means you get co-pub. If you recoup that, you can get reversion. If you recoup, like it just gives you so much flexibility versus, back in 1995, if there were writers getting $1 million draws and writing, 5 or 6 number ones, and they still wouldn't be recouped, and they'd have to wait for that money to recoup, and then they could sell later. And
so let's talk about all this selling stuff because I feel like I didn't really understand catalog acquisition until more recently.
Yeah.
I just thought songwriters wrote and they did it and they were hoping they'd get number ones and they just did it for a long time.
That's what it used to be for the most part.
Yeah. But now I hear about like, oh, I'm selling part of my catalog or whatever. Yeah. Can you talk about what that looks like and why people do it and who they're selling it to?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of investment people came in the last 15, 20 years because they realized that publishing is a pretty consistent asset. If you're buying published material of like the Beatles, if you're buying published material of Aerosmith or whatever, like the royalties of those songs remain very, very consistent. So you can say that I'm going to purchase this said catalog for $10 million and I can guarantee in 5 years I'm going to make my money back, and then it becomes a profitable asset. So I think a lot of investment people started looking at publishing in that way. And a lot of them moved to town and opened companies and bought companies. And a lot of publishing companies in town are built on catalog acquisition. So they just buy billions of dollars of catalogs and collect them until one day they'll probably end up selling themselves, right? So that's kind of where it started. It's a very consistent investment, and they've come into Nashville and they're just buying a lot of catalogs. And for the writer, the benefit is instead of waiting 5 to 10 years for my money, I can get it now. And there's also a lot of tax advantages to it as well. You're taxed differently, I believe. You get capital gains tax versus I don't know, whatever tax, but don't quote me on that. But there's a tax advantage to selling your stuff versus getting taxed as a royalty. You could be taxed as capital gains. So it would be a lower tax thing. And then a lot of, like some of the first people to sell catalogs that I remember that were like big catalogs were like Craig Wiseman and Luke Laird and Shane. And like, they were all doing it to open up companies in order to sign writers that would create more copyrights and give more opportunity to songwriters.
Yeah, how many number ones does Shane have?
40 or 50, something like that.
And Wiseman, is he over 30?
I think he's over 30, yeah.
And what about Luke? Where's he?
I think he's close to 20 to 30, I'd guess.
He's over Creative Nation?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
With Beth?
Yep. But they started companies because they sold catalogs and were able to start companies and watch them grow into what we are now. I mean, it's pretty fun.
So it's so interesting because I feel like so much of this podcast keeps coming back to just business.
Yeah.
And I feel like the creatives that just want to create still have to understand the business side.
Yes.
And I had an interesting conversation with Kerry O'Neill. You probably know him or know of him. And I was basically sitting down doing projections for my podcast. And I was like, dude, I don't know how to do this. Like, him and his partner Sam were sitting with me, and he like basically not admonished me, but a little bit. And he's like, you need to learn how to do everything you can possibly learn on the business side.
Yeah.
Because this is a business, like, hands down. And so when you're developing and helping artists and writers, do you try to like coach them on the business side? Like, where do we go to learn the business side of things? Because there's not really, in my opinion, like a course out there that's like really serves where music's at.
Yeah.
As we sit and do this podcast.
Well, the best thing anybody could do is get a good lawyer and get a lawyer that you can trust and that you can go have beer with, and that they can kind of teach you the process of the business. That's like number one, first and foremost, because I think I've always made a good point with all of my writers to always be incredibly honest with them on the business side of things. And I can't necessarily advise them on every aspect of their business, because I'm also, like, if we're in a contract negotiation, I'm obviously not going to negotiate against the company that pays me, but I'm also not going to negotiate against the writer, right? So
yeah, you're going to have the attorneys do that. And
that's what the attorneys kind of do. But I'm always pretty honest about where like writers stand. I'm like, hey, this is probably where you stand. This is where you would stand if you signed at Sony or Smack or Big Loud or whatever. Like these are the kind of deals that they generally offer. And I always try to be as honest as I can with writers. I'm pretty proud of that, but not all publishers are like that. Not all label people are like that. They're going to try to, defend themselves. But for me, I just always want what's best for the writer. But the best thing to do is to get a good lawyer, so you can kind of learn that business aspects, and so you don't get kind of screwed over. But also just have friends within the business. And I always tell young writers when I meet with them, even ones that I'm not signing or working with directly, I'm just like, hey, always feel free to email me or text me. So-and-so reached out. Is this legit? They offered me this kind of deal. Is this a legit deal? Because I always like right now, if somebody's offering you a deal, DM me on Instagram and be like, Lee, is this a real deal? And I will tell you if it's real or not.
Oh, for me?
Yeah, for you, anybody. But I'm just
anybody.
like, just anybody listening to the podcast, like, it's like, Lee, like, is this a real deal? I'll help you. So.
Well, that's cool of you to offer.
Yeah.
That's a level of altruism that needs to be brought to the business.
Yeah.
Outside of just business.
Yeah. There's not as much of like the shadiness that these days that goes down. Like, 20, 30 years ago, there was a lot of shadiness that went down to an extent. But
I still feel like the artist, to an extent, on the label side, kind of can get the short end of the stick if they don't have any clout coming into their record deal.
100%.
Well, Vince said he's like, your first deal is never a good deal.
No, your first deal anywhere is never really a good deal. But I mean, especially at a label.
So what's the standard first deal at a publishing company? Is it just like generally publishing company owns all publishing?
No. Well, yes. I mean, the writer's going to own their share in the publisher. Everything's split 50-50. So if $100,000 is made, the writer gets $50,000, the publisher gets $50,000, especially on the performance.
But you get your writer side as the writer, the publisher gets the publishing side.
Yes.
Versus the writer owning a percentage of their publishing as well.
Correct.
Which is why you say take the shorter draw or the smaller draw, so you can try to get a piece of that publishing if possible. Yeah. So you can recoup, which means essentially you're getting a big loan. So let's say you got $50,000 to write for a year. You would need to make $50,000 back for the company?
Well, you would have to make $100,000 in mechanical royalties because 50 would go back to the recoup and then 50 would go to the publisher. So if you make $100,000, the publisher owns half of it, right? So we get half, and then the other half would go toward your recoup. So.
Okay, so you would need to make $100,000 in just straight royalties.
Yeah, mechanical royalties.
Mechanical royalties.
Now sync also royalties.
Okay, what is a mechanical royalty? Because I was having breakfast with your friend Mark from Sound Exchange.
Yeah,
and he was telling me about how basically there's the mechanical royalty, which actually stood for something. What is that? In the old days, like making the actual unit or something?
Yeah, it's it's what you would be paid off of the actual physical product sale. So whether back then it would have been vinyl or whatever, and CDs, all that. But now the mechanical royalty has changed because technology has changed, obviously. So mechanical royalty transitioned to digital downloads, and now it's transitioning into DSPs. So DSPs will pay the label, and then the label will pay the publishing administrator. But then also DSPs have to pay performance rights to BMI, ASCAP, CSAC as well. So
there's the mechanical side. Who's getting that? Is that your PRO?
No. So your administrator would collect your mechanical royalties.
And who's your administrator?
So it could be Sony, Warner Brothers, Cobalt, like SMACK uses Magusta, which is an administration company. So there's all kinds of. So
you got to go snag these mechanical royalties out over here,
which could be collected by the MLC, or there's a variety of ways for your royalties to be collected in town.
Yeah.
Then the best thing to do is to do it like SMACK. We hire Trina at Magusta to go make sure that all of our royalties are being brought in from all the hundreds of different locations they could end up around.
Because that's what I was going to say. It's like there's so many spots, as Mark was explaining to me. It was like there's distribution, which is, I guess, mechanical royalties.
Yeah.
There's your, what would, like ASCAP, for example.
They collect performance royalties from TV and radio.
And then you would have like your writer's side and your publishing side, if you owned your publishing, let's say. So they're going to collect those royalties. What else am I missing? What other royalties are being collected?
Yeah, I think you got to get your administrator they'll collect your sync royalties, and your administrator will, and they'll negotiate your sync licenses as well, usually.
Okay. So like for an independent artist that's listening to this that is in town or out of town, like a place like TuneCore, they're getting mechanical royalties.
No, that would be a master ownership. So like TuneCore.
See, this is where it gets complicated.
Yeah, so there's two separate things. So like there's the master ownership, and then there's the publishing ownership, right, of things.
Okay.
And so TuneCore, CD Baby, like any of those things, they're going to collect money on the master side of things that Spotify pays out, or iTunes, or whatever, Walmart. Like if you buy something, that's where it's going to go. And that's going to be your administrator on the master side. Okay. Which like Magusta, I think, also does administering.
So the administrative royalty.
Yes.
The admin.
The admin of the master side of things.
The master side.
The publishing royalties,
which is the recording.
Yes.
The master is the actual physical recording.
Yes, the actual master. Yeah.
So you've got the master recording, administrative, like TuneCore. Then you have mechanical. So whoever would collect that.
Yeah.
I think Sound Exchange?
No, Sound Exchange would collect like your the production of that. So like the producers' money and the artist.
The fourth.
Yeah, that's the fourth. Yeah.
Yeah. So they actually help out the like even the session players like get a little bit of money now, I think, from Sound Exchange.
You'd have to talk to Mark about all the different avenues.
He was saying it, but
I know like our United States is like the only country in the world that doesn't pay artists for radio performance. Only and producers, only songwriters get paid in that because it's viewed as like advertisement. But it's like us in North Korea are the only ones that don't pay the artists for radio, and that's where. But Sirius XM would be different, so they pay that. But then they're collecting off of consumption essentially. Sound Exchange would be on consumption for producers and artists.
So it really gets kind of complicated.
Yeah,
and there are resources out there, I guess. But like you said, the attorneys will really help you break it down.
That's the number one thing. And then the minute you start making money is to get a business manager. Like those are the two most important things. First thing is to get a lawyer. Second thing is to get a business manager once you start making money.
What have you seen in terms of maybe the biggest pitfall that people have made, younger people, when they start making money?
When they start making money?
Yeah, let's say like they have some number ones. They're not in the red.
Yeah.
Now they're in the positive and they're getting some money.
Mm-hmm.
And you said get a business manager.
Yes.
Why do you say that?
So, because, if you get $100,000 check from BMI, you got to put half of it away for taxes. And a lot of people don't know that. So can you imagine if like you get 3 or 4 number ones and you're getting a $500,000 check and you didn't remember to pay taxes? Get a business manager. A business manager would be very good about like, hey, this is how much money you made this year. This is what you can afford on a house. This is what you can afford on a car. They can kind of walk you through that process.
And these are what like athletes would have, or like
athletes have them. And really, I mean, anybody who makes money can have a investment coach or business manager or whatever it happens to be. But highly suggest that, because a lot of these writers will go from making $30,000 or $40,000 a year for 5-6 years in a row to being a millionaire in a couple of years. And so that can be quite the drastic change in a lot of different ways. So you want to make sure that you have the right people around you to make sure that the money's going in the right place. And, you're not buying too expensive of a house. You're not buying too expensive of a car. So,
yeah.
But the writers today are pretty lame because they're all very safe and they're all very good with their money. And like this generation of writers having success right now, it's pretty hilarious to see them continue to drive their old beat up vehicles while they have 6 figures in their checking account, I imagine. So
that's smart though, man.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always had crappy cars growing up, so I never wanted to. I was like, when I'm an adult, I don't want to drive beaters anymore.
Yeah.
I hate paying mechanics. I want to not. But I feel like, it's interesting because I've had people on the podcast that are really successful, and I'll like walk them down after the podcast, and they're driving their like mid-2000s Subaru, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But you also just bought a brand new house.
Yeah.
Or whatever they did, kind of a thing.
I worked with Josh Osborne for a lot of years, and I always think it's funny. He drives a Kia, but he also owns his own basketball court. So there's a balance.
Yeah. His name was always, so when I first started, well, not maybe first, but at a period of time, I used to drive by Smack, and it had Josh Osborne's name out front.
Yeah.
And it had Shane's name out front too. But those names aren't there anymore.
I think Shane's initials.
Is Shane, maybe Shane's
Josh
there.
isn't a partner at Smack anymore.
Josh isn't?
No. He was at Smack for 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And he did a catalog sale with Sony 4 or 5 years ago. So he hasn't been a part of Smack since. He's still a part of our family, obviously. He's there all the time. But
yeah.
Which is a pretty common thing in the publishing world for people to do, is have success, sell their catalogs, and move on. So
yeah. Buy a house in Florida, but still come back and write because you love it and have to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, especially during COVID, I feel like half of Nashville moved to Florida and did that.
Seems like everybody has a house in Florida that's done well. Yeah.
Charleston's the new up and coming one. There's a lot of people
really
buying houses in Charleston and doing that. Yeah,
it is a cool spot.
Yeah,
like those like cobblestone streets.
Yeah,
I dig it.
Yeah.
So I mean, 5 years from now, what's A&R gonna look like?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't think it's going to change a lot. Everybody acts like it drastically changes, but it's still, we're in pursuit of the next best artist or writer. I don't think that's really going to change. I think maybe your avenue of where you discover them or how you discover them, whether it was a club on Santa Monica Boulevard or American Idol or TikTok, like you're still going to find a way to discover them. Maybe that process changes, but it's still the same thing.
Okay, where do you see AI at the intersection of music and songwriting? Yeah. And do you think that it's a tool that should be harnessed by songwriters to be able to bust out more songs faster?
I don't know if I like the term more songs faster. I think it definitely could be a tool to make your songs better, to more pitchable. I'm not really sure where AI is going to disrupt anything quite yet. I know it's good. To me, if I was a producer or a musician, I'd be more worried about the disruption from that, because the AI demos are really good.
Suno
are very good when it comes to guitars and drums and things like that. I'm not sure AI is ever going to get there completely with songwriting. To say that like they're going to do a better job than Dean Dillon or Shane McAnally or Ashley Gorley is tough for me to say. But to put down some guitar licks on a song, probably. Like they could probably do that.
Are you pitching AI demos?
No. Our writers have done them. Now, we are doing like if there's some artists that like to have their voice AI'd. So one of our writers will write with the artist, and that artist will go off to do about their day, and they'll just AI their voice on the demo and send it to the artist. And then the artist, of course, when they cut it, they're going to actually sing it. But so that's kind of maybe pitching purposes.
Because they get a tuned vocal.
They get a tuned vocal. It's fast, and they can see what their voice sounds on it. Now, it doesn't sound exactly like them, of course, but
it helps you like the song more. I've noticed that with my writing. Like if I'll put a song that I wrote into Suno, and it kicks back
that's
the
what our
demo,
writers are doing.
And it's like, oh, like that's more listenable because that's a perfectly sung and phrased vocal. And
a lot of our writers are using it to see if it's worth doing anything else on the song. But I don't think I'm actively pitching anything that may be different from other publishers. But our writers really just in the last 6 months have started dabbling with AI a little bit more, but definitely like on vocals, it does not do justice yet. And I haven't heard anything that's even remotely decent songwriting wise for AI.
Yeah.
But I've heard some good guitars and drums and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how that impacts the songwriter and the musician, because I do think that culturally we have such a hunger for authenticity.
Yeah.
And there's just not a human element there. So
yeah,
well, it'll be interesting to see.
That's what attracts us to art, is the authenticity of it. And it's just going to be super hard to replicate that through AI.
Yeah. I like imperfections too.
I think most people do. I think there are periods of time in like our history of American music where we liked things to sound perfect. Like Backstreet Boys sounds perfect. But I think we always come back to the Chris Stapleton kind of Zach Bryan thing. It always comes back to that kind of the imperfect authentic. There you go. Authentic kind of music. So
yeah, I just interviewed BJ Barham from American Aquarium.
Yeah,
and they've been really successful. Just freaking working his butt off for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But he was talking about how the Stapletons and Sturgills have really like kind of like infiltrated pop music culture and country music, and have like, if anything, helped bands like him and opened a door for something that I don't know that was there for quite some time.
Yeah. It's the storytelling, songwriting aspect of music, and I see it more in all the genres right now. There's definitely much more of a country storytelling going on. I mean, the biggest pop album is Sabrina Carpenter, and the songwriting is about as close to country as it gets.
Sabrina Carpenter's?
Yeah. So
is she that chick, the blonde chick?
Yep.
Yeah, she was in a Charlie Puth music video, I think. So I was doing some research on her too, and the people that have written like a lot of the songs on her record have like written like tons of number ones in pop music.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Amy Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting when you see like who's actually behind the tunes on stuff.
My friend Steph Jones wrote some of those. She used to work at Starbucks at Vanderbilt, and now she's a big hit songwriter. So.
Shout out to Steph Jones.
Shout out to Steph.
So you're saying that the country music genre is infiltrating pop music on a lyrical side?
Yeah. Well, country's the biggest genre in the world right now, and we're
outside of hip hop.
Yeah, we're the number one genre in the world at the moment.
Really?
Yeah, Zach Bryan, Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, Megan Maroney, Beyonce. I mean, they're all contributing to that right now. Yeah.
Posty?
Yeah. And the thing is like we're infiltrating a lot of aspects of the music business, but a lot of parts of the music business are infiltrating Nashville right now. So there's a lot of people coming to Nashville, opening up record labels, and a lot of artists coming here wanting to make country records.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
There's more good than bad usually when that happens. So the more money that comes to Nashville, the more artists get a shot. The more big artists that want to come here and make records, that means, my songwriting friends get more cuts, and, our guitar players and bass players and drummers and studios get more activity. So I think it's always good. I think a lot of people get frustrated I think some artists kind of half-ass use the city and don't really fully embrace it. Like Post Malone just completely fully embraced Nashville and its songwriting community and the past of our industry and our current future. Post did such a good job of it, but I think others may have not done that.
What is fully embracing it?
I mean, going on Music Row and writing songs with our writers and, going in our studios and cutting with our studio musicians and being a part of the music community. So,
yeah, I remember his Opry debut.
Yeah.
And seeing the humility that he played with.
Yeah.
And saying
it's respectful to our genre. Like he really respected.
Yeah. And from what I understand, like he's always been a country music lover as well. Mm-hmm. So
it shows. It shows like he was a big Brad Paisley and Blake Shelton. Just listening to his record, just because that's the music that I wanted to. When I moved to Nashville, it's the music that got me to move here was Blake Shelton and Brad Paisley and stuff like that. And you could tell those influences and the way that he wanted to make that record. It sounded like those Blake and Brad records that we grew up on.
What are a few of your favorite Brad songs?
Oh man, Waiting on a Woman is definitely up there for me. Shout out to Don Sampson and Win Varble. Waiting on a Woman is really high up there. Time Well Wasted, the title track of that album. I love that song, Time Well Wasted. He's got a lot of good ones. Ticks, never gets old.
That's what I was going to say.
Ticks never gets old.
Was my favorite.
Yeah, I'm Still a Guy is one of my favorites. A little cancely these days, but it's still one of my favorite Brad Paisley songs.
He was my reason for learning country guitar.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because I grew up playing blues.
Yeah.
But never really under the Telecaster thing. But I was like, man, this guy's just such a picker.
Yeah.
And I have to figure this out. And I read his autobiography, I think, that he put out. It was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my mom bought me the book for Christmas because she knew I was a huge Paisley fan. And I really enjoyed his music.
Yeah. It's my first country concert, Brad Paisley. And it was my first job in the music business. So it's his publishing company.
Oh,
so
dude. That's
that.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
What do you think about this whole idea of manifestation? Like people are like, I'm going to write my goals down for what's going to happen in the next 2 years, and it's going to happen. Do you hear that much?
I don't really do it.
Do you think there's anything to it? I'm just curious.
I think there's a setting your goals and working towards your goals. I think there's a big thing to it, but especially it would be so hard to do that in the music business because the music business is so unpredictable as to where things are going. And, I kind of believe in a higher powers and more control than my goal list. So
that's how I feel, man. I had all these goals and wrote them down, and then God was like, ain't gonna happen that way.
Yeah.
And then you learn how out of control you are.
Yeah.
And then you have a kid, and then you realize that everything that you thought was important isn't as important as now your family.
Yep.
How's it being a dad?
It's pretty great. It's definitely true, though. I care a lot less about things now.
Me too.
It's like that does not affect me the way it used to.
Yeah.
Because you just see the world in a different perspective, I think. The things that used to matter don't necessarily matter quite as much as your family and my now daughter.
Yeah. How old is she?
4 months.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
What's that state? What's the 4 month stage? What are we doing at 4 months? I don't remember.
She's holding her head up pretty good now. And there's the 4 month sleep regression. I think that's a real thing.
Okay.
Like she likes to party at different times in the night, but for the most part, she sleeps through the night.
Does your wife get up through the night? Or do you guys have to split, like share it?
No, definitely. She's a teacher, so she was off this summer.
Oh, great.
And so she definitely took a 99% of the workload at night. But granted, our daughter slept pretty well most of the summer. But yeah, she was always the one that did that since I had to work. So she's a superhero. She's awesome.
Shout out to your wife.
Shout out to my wife.
What grade does she teach?
Kindergarten.
Oh, dude. So. Teachers are the heroes, man.
Yeah.
My mom was a teacher.
Yeah.
And there are unsung heroes that don't get paid enough.
That is very true.
That really have some of the most important jobs out there. That's cool that you married a teacher. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What do you feel like are some important things you'd want to share with? Like I go back and I think of like the 23-year-old version of myself with these huge dreams and goals and things. And I thought it was as simple as you move to Nashville and then you sign a record deal and then you get famous.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't happen that way. What are some things that you feel like you would like to impart unto people, the younger generation, like pour back into? And I know some of them you said is like having like, hey, get a business manager or get a good lawyer. But what are some of the other things that are like maybe even more just like basic fundamentals?
Yeah. Hard work beats talent every time. That's the number one fundamental of Nashville. And there are so many examples of incredibly talented people, some of the best songwriters and artists in the world that just didn't want it as bad as this other artist that may not have had the best voice, may not have been the best guitar player, may not have been the best songwriter. That person just wanted it a lot more. And I think it's always good to keep in mind that we're all replaceable to an extent and to act like it, to know that like there's somebody that could replace you at any moment. It doesn't matter if you're at the top of the game or at the bottom, because we've all seen it throughout the history of music. Like there's always going to be the next best thing. You know, the same person doesn't win Grammy or Artist of the Year at the Grammys every single year, obviously. So there's going to be somebody that comes and that's ready to take your spot, and you kind of got to act like it. Hard work beats talent every time.
Is that a Michael Jordan quote?
Maybe.
Because I think he said that.
It is. I mean, it's true.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I think talent almost can inhibit or prohibit you from growth because you rest.
You know you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I think Nashville's the great equalizer in that, because when you come to Nashville, you can go down on Broadway and see 30 amazing singers and see all these great guitar players and drummers and be like, oh shit, I got to compete with that.
Yeah.
So you may be like the most talented person in your home city or whatever, but you come to Nashville and it's a little different.
Yeah.
Everybody here's talented.
A lot of talent.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that grew up in small towns that think they have talent that come here and then realize I don't belong here.
Yeah.
And leave.
And
I feel like there's a lot of people that come and just as many people go on the music side.
And you know, I can't remember, somebody was like, hey, there's a lot of talented real estate agents. And it's true, because like you can come here and be intimidated by it. And I think it's Nashville's way of weeding people out. Maybe you can be intimidated by it, or you can persevere through it. And there's a lot of stories of artists and songwriters that, you know, they waited 10 or 15 years for their break in Nashville, and they were willing to be poor and work 7 days a week for 10 or 15 years for their dream to come true. And those are the type of people that you're competing with to have success in this town.
Yeah. It's who's going to show up the longest.
Yeah.
And if you keep showing up, eventually that'll pay off.
Yep.
You just don't know when. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
That's the little voice
You don't
in your
know
head.
the day you're going to get lucky.
No, you don't. And it comes probably at an unexpected time, I would imagine.
It's almost always at an unexpected time.
Yeah, dude. So are there any artists that you can say you've passed on that you regret?
No, because I think they generally ended up where they were supposed to be. I believe that everybody ends up where they're supposed to be. So It may not have worked out. I think there are songwriters I wish I could have worked with, definitely. One artist I remember meeting with, he had been here for like maybe a week or two and had written a few songs with my writers, and I was just kind of enamored with him, but I knew by the time that we even got into the conversation, we'd have been long out of it. Just as an independent publishing company, we're not going to be able to compete with the big dogs financially. So as Cameron Marlowe was one of the most talented artists I've ever met with, where, had it been a different circumstance where, not everybody in town was after him, I wish that Smack would have had a shot at Cameron, because I think Cameron is just an incredible songwriter and vocalist. So
you just kind of knew from the get.
Yeah.
I have a question about joint ventures.
Yes.
Is that something you guys do?
We've done a handful of them, yeah.
What is that, and why do you do it?
We'll do it if it makes sense for the writers. Let's, hypothetically, if you want access to a specific artist or different level of writers, but you want Smack's community, that would be a good reason to do a co-venture. Like, if you wanted to sign with, Big Louds, you would have access to Morgan Wallen, but you really, really liked Robin Palmer at Smack and you wanted her to be your point, then they would come together and figure out ways to work together. And Nashville's great at that. I mean, we're all friends with each other, and, we have co-ventures with Warner Brothers and Kingpin Music and, a variety of different places, and they tend to work pretty well.
Have you ever seen it where there's a JV where someone is like the publishing side that sets up the rights kind of a thing, and then you have the other side, which is like the artist development side that is more on the working with picking the right songs to cut the thing, to pitch to the label kind of a thing, to get the record deal, and they're working over there towards that goal, and then you're just working over here to write as many songs as you possibly can to take over to figure out for the project.
Yeah. I mean, we don't.
Because I'm curious, because I'm like having some conversations like that.
Yeah.
And I know me and you met.
Yeah.
Just for all transparency, just talked about some things and goals of mine. And it's just interesting to see how some publishing companies are like, we're just publishing. And then some are like, we're publishing and artist development.
Yeah.
Like everybody kind of leans in their own direction and has their own ecosystem. But that's one of the things where I've been kind of interested, and I'll just pick your brain while I'm recording this, because it's a question I have. Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had that exact situation. Now definitely, we have McCoy Moore, who I mentioned before, and, we handle at Smack, with our partner Travis Gordon, we handle all the publishing aspects and co-writing aspects of his career. But then he works with, his management company and even his Neil agency, which helps develop him, and now Sony, and in terms of like what he's going to cut and what's going to make the record. And, they work on his live show, and, I think I see on his calendar, he's got like movement coach and stuff like that. They handle all that stuff. So I think that's definitely a real situation where everybody kind of knows the role in the terms of that artist developing. But I mean, I don't think we've ever partnered with a publishing company that focused on.
Yeah, these people would be more like there would be a publishing side than like the management, artist development.
Yeah,
working towards a record deal, cutting
that's
songs.
That's very common. Yeah.
Okay, because that would be more of the arrangement.
Yeah,
but I wasn't sure how common it was.
Yeah. But if every writer has a publisher and a manager, and you would hope that they would have a really good working relationship to where they would talk about those things. And I work with Tiger Lily Gold and McCoy Moore on the artist side, and I have a great working relationship with both the artist and their manager about what the goals are and what we're headed towards. So just on my end and booking co-writes and trying to get the best opportunities for the artist.
So how strategic is booking co-writes? Like how much strategy do you put into that? Because it's got to be strategic.
Sometimes. I think when I worked with Shane and Josh on a daily basis, there wasn't as much strategy because the game kind of came to me. It was just trying to manage the game because you could kind of get whatever you wanted, and sitting with a writer and being like, hey, what are your goals? Like what artists have you written with? What artists have you got to cut with? And so there's strategy in that. But for the most part, I was playing defense. And if you sign writers and develop them into being great and hit writers, you're mostly just playing defense. But yeah, there's definitely strategy in terms of we try to make sure that all of our writers have an opportunity at the radio every day. I think that's a big thing that we always preach. We don't want anybody's time being wasted. And, we don't need track 9 on a random independent record that nobody's ever going to hear. We want an opportunity towards radio, and whether it's you believe in this independent artist that may take the next step, or whether it's just a day with two great writers that you could get a Blake Shelton cut or whatever. That's most of our strategy, and every writer is going to be different in terms of, do they write 3 days a week? Do they write 5 days a week? Do they get most of their cuts through pitch? Do they get most of their cuts through artist co-writes?
That's what I was going to ask.
Everybody's different.
How much of it is I'm friends with the artist and I can text them the song I wrote?
It helps.
Kind of a thing.
It definitely helps, yeah. But I mean, we also get a lot of cuts just pitching to A&R and management, and we do with artists as well too. But
on those pitch meetings, sorry to interrupt, is it usually someone representing the artist that's there to listen to the song, or does the artist ever come?
The artist comes sometimes. They do a thing that's pretty popular, is the cattle call is what they call it, and they'll invite 5 to 10 publishers to come in throughout the day and play songs for 15, 20 minutes and hang out with the artist. They're pretty fun. They used to happen a lot more when I first started. They don't happen quite as often as they used to, but
well, you do like 3 songs, your best 3, you think?
Sometimes they'll have rules of like, you bring in 1 song or 2 songs, or sometimes you'll get, as many as you can get in 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is. But I mean, back when I first started, like we used to go to Ronnie Dunn's house and pitch him songs. Like it used to be pretty fun, but now you're lucky if you get 10, 15 minutes with them in a quick pitch meeting. And I think that changed because so many of us have more access to artists through email or text message, where we can just be like, hey, I got a song, listen to that. And, if you got a good relationship with the artist, and especially the writers, develop really, really strong friendships and relationships with artists throughout the years, and becomes a little easier. So
yeah, it's like Kyle and Johnny.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they were homies.
Yeah.
And Johnny was saying like, Kyle got signed, and then it was like, well, we got to get you a deal now, like kind of a thing, because they were kind of a duo.
Mm-hmm.
They had written a lot together.
Yeah.
And he was saying that his Schedule A, which is all the songs that you write before you sign, was pretty big from having written a lot before he signed.
Yeah.
How important is that when you're signing someone, that they have a huge amount of songs in their catalog prior to the signing?
I don't think I've ever considered it. I mean, it's great to have, I don't think it's never a negative thing to say I have 200 songs I'm bringing in. But if I'm signing somebody to their first publishing deal, I'm more than likely not planning on those songs becoming hits, because it's pretty rare for the most part. It does happen from time to time. Now, if you're on your second or third deal, the Schedule A may mean a little bit more on that. I think when we signed Ryan Beaver to his second deal, he had 5 or 6 pretty big cuts that happened out of his Schedule A. But he was also 6, 7, 8 years into town at that point, so it was just a little bit different. But if it's on a first deal, I'll be like, hey, thanks for the 200 songs, but they're probably not getting cut.
Yeah. It's more about like, what are you going to start creating when you're here?
When you're here, and the development over the course of years. So
I like that, man. Yeah. I love that. You've used the term development a lot. Developing writers, they might get signed. See, and this is good to hear for people and encouraging. I think that even the signed writers come in, and it's someone that you are like, all right, I'm going to bet on you and sign you. And they're going to come in and you're like, you're not even developed enough yet, even at signing. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But let's say they're not, because you've said that a few times on the development side. Like, I'm going to foster and grow this person because I see the potential.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's fresh. Is that the industry standard, or is that just Lee?
I think it's SMACK standard more than anything. I think it's a very common thing in the Nashville publishing business to do. A lot of my friends and colleagues do the exact same thing. But yeah, SMACK is, I think Robin Palmer, who started SMACK with Shane, kind of set that precedent of signing young writers and believing in them for sometimes much longer than other companies would have. I mean, we've had multiple writers that we've kept for 6, 7 years and continued to pay them draws before they had any hits. And then, we always would joke, Robin would be in our staff meetings and say like, they're doing great. They're almost there. And then like 3 years later, it's the exact same. They're doing great. They're almost there. But she's almost always right. Like Robin would be like, hey, they're going to have hits. They're going to have hits. And then lo and behold, in like their 7th year, they get 3 number ones.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I think it comes from Robin, and it kind of trickles down throughout the staff.
And she's been in the business for quite some time.
Yeah, since the 80s. So
yeah, I have a friend who speaks very highly of her.
Yeah.
And that kind of like I would say his heyday was probably through the 90s, but worked with alongside of her. And throughout that time of just, artists being on the road and coming back and just cutting songs and those lunch pail writers, like making a decent living, not like I still have to work at Starbucks part-time and write kind of a thing. Yeah. But like you could live without having to get a single, but you can make a like decent living off of cuts.
Yeah. I mean, you can get track 10 on Clint Black record and make 90 grand. So yeah, I mean, it was different. Exactly. It was different back then.
Because of the units being sold.
Yeah. Versus you can get
those
track
are
10.
Mechanical royalties.
Those are mechanicals. And you can get track 10 on like a Luke Bryan record now and not make $1,000.
Yeah, dude.
So
it's just a cool thing to put on your Instagram now.
I mean, a lot of people say it's building your resume, and it's credit to build you into that next thing.
Yeah. For sure.
And a lot of it's just credit. Like
it's
even
validating.
Like the small production things to the small cuts to the big cuts, they all kind of snowball into the big stuff. So they're very important still. They may not be worth monetarily like right now, but later on, like they definitely will be. Yeah.
So last question. And thank you for your time, man.
Absolutely.
Because this has been really cool just to be able to chat and pick your brain. And I know that me and Haley have like gone over lots of questions that people have had in the past, and a lot of them are about like publishing and that kind of thing.
Yep.
I feel like it can be kind of complicated, but I feel like talking through it, it's kind of painting a picture. Let's say that you're someone that is just an artist that doesn't, you're an artist, you don't want to write songs for other people, but you're cool with getting cuts. Is publishing the route for that person to go? How important is a publisher to the person that is just going for the artist thing versus I want to write songs for other people for a living? Because it's I think some people think they just want to write songs for a living, then discover they want to be an artist. I think some people want to be an artist and then realize how hard that is and just want to write songs for a living. And so
that's all real. All those scenarios are pretty common. So.
Yeah. And I feel like I hear them a bit. And so just again, myself as a guinea pig, like just wanting to be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
How important is the publishing side in that? And where does that come? Is it more just on being able to write as many songs with as many people as possible to be able to have the most songs to choose from for the project?
If you want to be a better songwriter, then you need a publishing deal. And it's not necessarily that you're like publishers' jobs is it's our job to get cuts, obviously, to go pitch songs and to set you up in situations where you're going to get a cut, but it's also to make you a better writer. It's like I said, the development aspect of it. And I would tell anybody who wants to write songs for a living in some way, shape, or form needs a publishing deal, especially early on. Now, once you get to the point where you've had 10, 15 number ones and you're selling 5,000, 10,000 tickets a night, your manager can probably handle a lot of the writing aspects of it. So maybe that's not quite as important at a certain level in your career. I still think it's important. I think Morgan Wallenstall is a publisher and he's selling out football stadiums. So I still think that that's important. But, the beginning aspect, the development of this songwriting talent and the craft, especially early on, it's hard to do without a publisher.
Mm.
And it's just the community of other writers that you're around at the company you write for, or just having somebody like Robin Palmer tell you, like, your song is great. Like, she used to work with Randy Travis and she told you your song is great today. Like, that's a pretty good feeling, right? So, it's important in the development process to be published. So.
All right. That's great to know.
Yeah.
If you want to write songs for a living,
get a publisher.
Yeah. Whether that is you're going to be an artist or just a songwriter. Either way, that'll sharpen your skill set, your tool, your songwriting capabilities.
Yeah. There's never been a hit artist without a hit song.
Mm. One of the quotes I heard was, not all great songs are hits and not all hit songs are great.
That's true.
Why is that?
Well, it's because it's the fans kind of dictate that. So, and even like, you know, it would be hard for me to say like the Macarena is a great song, but we still talk about it, and we still like, you still see it at weddings and stuff like that, right? So, but there are, you know, I was listening to Trent Wellman's first record this morning, and there's like songs on there that I'm obsessed with that not very many people have heard. So yeah, it's definitely a real thing.
Yeah.
But it's just the fans dictate the marketplace sometimes.
They definitely do.
Most of the time they're right. Sometimes they're wrong.
They're the ultimate A&R.
They're the ultimate A&R.
Well, dude, it's been awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Yeah. And Smack is just a really cool company, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. What you guys got going on. And you're just chill demeanor. I love it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. I feel like I'm like that. People like tell me, well, not people, but I have a buddy. He's like, you need to like smile more and like be more like animated on podcasts or whatever. And I'm like, nah, I'm just going to be myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like kind of low key, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like you're that way.
Yeah.
Just a little stoicism, but it's like you're just laid back, dude.
I'm laid back. I don't take a lot seriously, but I'm laid back.
I love that. So. Well, cool, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is the Stephan Hogan Podcast.